Tonight's species is the most popular fish in the world. They are found in the shallows as well as the deep. And what I love about them is that they can be very calm and in a second become very aggressive. Tonight, it's all about the shark here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
You're watching the Florida Insider Fishing Report, and this week we're jumping on the Shark Week bandwagon and talking all about the man in the gray suit. So, since there are over 500 shark species and also fascinating, I thought we could share some interesting shark facts you may or may not know. What do you think about that, Rick?
Okay, let's hear them.
All right, well, one of those crazy facts I never knew is that some sharks actually eat their litter mates in the womb, with the largest embryo eating all but one of its siblings. Did you know that, Dave Farrell
Yes.
at the CCA workbench?
Yes, I did.
You did?
It's the sand shark.
You know
it's called
everything.
ovoviviparous.
Oh my gosh, he's so smart. Good thing we hired him, Rick.
I love sharks. That's the only reason why.
Well, we're talking about
knew
sharks
that.
today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Got some big hooks over there.
Yes, I do.
For some big
A
sharks.
lot of big shark stuff.
Wow, I thought I was totally going to stump him with that one.
Nope.
Okay, well, Rick, let's start our feeding frenzy in the Keys region, where you can find a plethora of sharks, but more than likely, they'll find you first. Go for it, Randy.
Hey, good evening, fish fans. You know, when we talk about sharks, there's no shortage of sharks on the Atlantic, on the Bay, in the Gulf. Pretty much wherever you want to go throughout the Keys, you're going to find sharks. And they could be from 2 to 3 feet to 10 or 12 feet. It just depends where you are. And don't think a big shark won't live in shallow water, because they certainly frequent the backcountry in a big way. Now, a lot of guys will target in the Atlantic on some of the offshore humps with amberjacks. While they're catching them, they get eaten. You got a lot of big tigers, you got some bull sharks, and you also have makos out there, especially around the springtime, which guys actually try to target that particular species. And it's a lot of fun, and it's big game. It's not light tackle. You need some heavy tackle to do it, and it's a whole different way of shark fishing. And then you can switch gears and go in the backcountry, and you can drift in shallow water, and you can actually sight fish to some of these sharks. They might be lemon sharks, black-tip sharks, spinner sharks, which are kind of the same, only different. One's smaller, one's bigger. But there's a lot of different varieties of sharks in the backcountry, along the shorelines, along the islands. And really, if you want to catch a shark, in most cases, you could just put a pinfish or a mullet out on a cork and drift around in some of the deeper bays or even the channels, or put one on the bottom, and I would bet the rent you're going to get a bite out of a shark one way or another. Kids love it. A lot of guys just love pulling on a big fish. That's what it's all about. Captain Greg Poland, he's a local guide here in Alamorada. He spends a lot of time with his anglers and kids shark fishing because it's exciting, it's fun, and of course they're sharks. And I've got a photo he sent me of his lady angler catching a nice lemon shark in the backcountry shallow water.
All right, what else you got inshore, Randy?
The snook fishing is still pretty good. You know, there's a lot of guys catching them up on top of the flats. Some of the deeper areas haven't been as good lately, and there seems to be better reports of guys finding them around Flamingo and actually catching them on gold spoons or a copper color spoon, having the best success. Once that water starts to get down a little bit, just before it's exposed, some of those edges have been working really good for snook in all different sizes. Some overslot, some smaller. It just depends where you are, but a lot of activity. Soft plastics also working fairly good. Captain Donnie Bempo, a local out of the Lorelei in Alamorada, sent me this photo of his angler with one of their shallow water snook they caught the other day.
Nice. All right, let's go offshore, bub.
You know, dolphin fishing's a little tricky, and people ask me all the time, how's dolphin fishing? And I said, if you're the guy that finds them, it's great. And keep that in mind, because it's all about finding the birds, reading the birds, finding a piece of debris, and that's key right now. You could find fish from 300 feet on out. There's been a lot of heavy current, and this current has been upwards of 5 knots. So just a really strong, heavy Gulf Stream current inshore. Once you get about 700 or 800 feet, you get out of the current. So a lot of that good current has been in shallow, so don't overshoot it, thinking you got to go out to 1,000 feet to find dolphin. But the key is going to be finding those working birds that are on fish, and those birds that continuously fly through the sky are not what you're looking for. You're looking for birds that are going to dip down, do a circle, and those are going to have fish for you. And almost every set of those birds we found a few days ago had some nice fish. And I've got a photo of Ryan, Tyler, and Benny from Sarasota getting the job done for me over the weekend.
Yeah, they sure did. Tell me about the swordfish, bub.
You know, it's funny, you got all that current inshore and you've got very moderate current offshore, and guys have been doing pretty well on the sword fishing because they kind of overshoot the dolphin, and they get out there and they go, well, we may as well drop down for a swordfish because we're out here. And it's that time of year. August is a great month. September is a great month for sword fishing. There's been plenty of swords being caught, 1,400 to 1,600 feet on average. And the fresh bait makes a big difference. If you've got a fresh bonita strip, a dolphin belly, you're probably going to get a bite from a swordfish. And Captain Brian Cohn, we talk about him a lot, and he catches everything. But his dolphin anglers, Richard and Don DeLeon, who are great dolphin fishermen, wanted to change it up the other day and go sword fishing, and this was their swordfish they caught fishing with Brian.
Man, that's a nice picture there, bub. Good job. Thanks for all the pictures tonight. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Sunset Inn hotspots. He says inshore, triple tail. Look during the middle of the day to the west of Flamingo to fish that are floating on the surface. And then dolphin, start offshore, looking at 300 feet of water, find the working birds, and go early to beat the heat. What do you think about that, Brie?
All right, so Rick, remember when we were talking about the Key West Marlin tournament?
I do.
Well, we have an update on who won.
Okay,
Woo-hoo!
tell me.
The boat Mystic Lee with Kim Hooper was the overall winner and won over $50,000 in cash. Awesome. And the boat On Course with Bill Curry finished second, winning several $1,000s as well. Congratulations, guys and gals. That's
Right
super
on,
exciting.
man.
All right, if any of you want to be a part of this tournament next year, coinciding with the annual Hemingway Days celebration in Key West, they're offering a special early entry fee from now until the end of the month. So for more information and to sign up, head over to keywestmarlin.com. All right, if you're heading into the Bells Central East region for a good fight this weekend, have no fear. There are definitely many species of sharks near. Right, Captain Ross?
You have got that right. I mean, if you're looking for a tussle with one of the most feared creatures in the ocean, the Central East region is a good place to go. You can go to any beach, jetty, or any offshore structure and find these fish just about any given day of the week, especially this time of the year. Now, right now, we're catching black-nosed, fine-toothed, sharp-nosed bulls, sandbars, black tips, spinners. I mean, basically, if you name it, we're catching it around here. Right now, the chunks of barracuda or bonita are working best. Like Randy was talking about, fresh chunks work really good because they give off more scent. And live baits work as well. And I reached out to our Central East anglers here and asked some guys around the Canaveral area and actually throughout the region to send some photos. And I've got the first photo here of Josh Blackett. This is a bull shark that he landed off the beach at Sebastian Inlet. Going north to the other end of the region, up near Playa Linda and Ponce, Mark Elliott also is catching sharks out of the surf. And then my last photo is a really cool picture of a sand tiger shark that Joe Bird sent me on one of his charters out of Canaveral. And we have them everywhere. Just go out, drop something overboard, and you're likely to find a shark. Now, staying offshore, deep dropping is one of the it's one of the newest styles that recreational anglers have adopted, but these guys in this region right now are absolutely crushing it. Guys are running to the 500 to 650 foot depths to get a variety of fish, and then also out to the 15 to 1800 foot depths looking for some of those swords. Right now you're using like a 3 to 5 hook dropper rig and up to 20 pounds of weight depending on how deep you're trying to fish and how much current there is. But swordfish, pomfrets, queen snapper, rosefish, tilefish, and a variety of deep water groupers can all be caught in these extreme depths. And here's the key to it. I was talking with a buddy of mine, Andy Nolan. I've got a picture of it here that he and Mike Harton and his crew caught in 550 feet of water last weekend. But he was telling me that you need to drive your boat into the current to slow your overall speed over ground to about 1.5 to 2 knots. And that'll keep your lines from getting tangled and allow those fish to be able to get a bite and you to be able to detect it. So that's a solid catch those guys caught right there out of Canaveral last week. Now, swinging inshore, speckled trout remains really good in the northern end of the Mosquito Lagoon. And I was talking with Captain Matt Lee from CodeRedFishingCharters.com, and he's been consistently catching fish with his clients this past 2 weeks on live pigfish, oinking those pigs, and topwater plugs first thing in the morning right around the mullet pods. If you stay in the flats with the mullet pods, you're going to stay in the trout. But Matt says you have to stay mobile because the fish don't seem to be in the same place every day. So if you found them in one place one day, keep looking until you find those mullet and fish around those mullet. And our average fish is running 16 to 18 inches at this time. And then our last species for this week is tarpon. And they've slowed down a little bit along our beaches, but they're still pretty good in the Cocoa Beach, Satellite Beach, Merritt Island, a lot of those residential canal areas, and a lot of the deeper dredge holes out in the middle of the lagoon and river system. Live finger mullet, pilchards, and pigfish under a cork seem to be working best. And you want to size your tackle to the tarpon because we have tarpon anywhere from 3 pounds to up to 100 pounds right now. So you may need a 30 or 40 pound leader for some of those juveniles. You may need to step it up to 60 or 80 pounds if you're looking for some of those bigger fish, Rick.
Well, Jim, thank you so much, man. Great report. Give the great little tip about holding the boat into the current so that we can get those lines down. Looking forward to it next week. But it is time for the Rodan hotspots from the Central East region. And Jim says that we're going to go inshore flounder on the nearshore rock piles outside of Ponce Inlet. Use live shrimp or mud minnows on a jig head or a knocker rig. And then offshore, deep dropping in 550 to 650 feet of water. Expect tilefish, yellow edge groupers, and others using cut or whole squid for bait.
Absolutely, Rick. Okay, shark lovers, we're sneaking our way over to the BEALLS Southwest region. But first, let's see if Dave Farrell is ready for rigs and techniques at the CCA workbench. Dave, do you know what species of shark specializes in sneak attacks?
All of them.
Oh, that was a trick question. I was thinking the great white, but I'm going to go with that.
All of them do. Yep, we're going to have to use some wire, too, if we're going to be catching sharks because of those teeth. So
those teeth,
we're going to show you how to make some wire rigs and whatnot.
Sounds good to me. We'll be back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Contender Boats, always in the game. Noble Air Charters, raising the bar yet again. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Sirius XM Marine, weather, fishing info, and channel surfing. And Daiquiri Deck, Sarasota's favorite place to meet.
Reliability. Yamaha is legendary for it. But it's more than a legend. It's something boaters have come to value. Why? Because it's rare. Because in this fast-paced, single-use world, few things are built to last. So when we find something that is, we hold on for dear life, to friendships, to traditions, to outboards. Because it's the lucky few who get to spend as much time on the water as they'd like. The rest of us? We look forward to those precious few days. That makes every second sacred. Every moment mean that much more. And it drives us to wring the most of every minute we get on the water, having incredible adventures, fighting the fish, making unforgettable memories. If you count on having this time, you need an outboard you can count on to power it. That's why boaters choose Yamaha for the long run, for life. Because reliability starts here.
What started in the flats and bays has migrated offshore. GPS-guided trolling motor technology has moved to boats in the 35-plus foot class and allowed anchoring capabilities on most center consoles in any depth of water, from snook and redfish inshore to grouper and swordfish way out deep. Rodan Marine Systems has a GPS anchor to hold your vessel on location. Set it, forget it, catch more fish.
The only reel with over 100 years of heritage. ALVEY sidecast reels allow you to cast over 150 yards with up to 900 yards of capacity. ALVEY's state-of-the-art drag and 22-inch retrieve rate per wine is perfect for any surf challenge. ALVEY reels are manufactured to best practice standards and are in fact so robust that the ALVEY also comes with a 10-year salt and sand warranty. For more information, go to alveus.com.
Well, we're here at the CCA workbench, and it's time for the Academy Sports and Outdoors Rigs and Techniques. And Dave, sharks are something I really enjoy catching, so tell me what you got.
You know, everybody likes to catch a shark. You know, we're in Florida. We're either blessed or cursed, whichever whichever you want to feel about it, about sharks, because we've got tons of them here. And with the good hot water that we have and a lot of abundance of fish, that's why we have a lot of sharks. And a good, healthy ecosystem has a bunch of everything. It has a bunch of sharks and it has a bunch of reef fish, and you can't have one without the other because they just don't work that way. But we when it comes down to catching a shark, a shark is pretty much a swimming sensor. He's got great eyesight. For one, he's a predator, so he's got great eyesight, and he's got a really strong vibration sense. He can pick up vibrations in the water. Any prey fish that we hook, and starts to vibrate, that sound, that low frequency white vibration noise, they are tuned to that. Any kind of prey noises, and their scent is fantastic. They can smell infinitesimal pieces of blood in millions of parts of water and can turn and go to that source. And a unique sense that they have is they can detect electrical impulses in fish or any animal, and that's why sometimes they'll be chewing on your boat, on the metal of your boat, because it's emitting electricity, right. and they can feel that. They have these little pits in their snout and along the front of their nose, and even some alongside their bodies that are filled with a little gel, and they can detect vibrations and electricity.
Cool.
So they are just amazing animals, and when we want to get them come to us, chum obviously is one of the biggest things. If you put blood in the water, if you put fish scent in the water, the fish will come. Barracuda is a great, or ladyfish, bonitas, all those are really great, but a barracuda, for some reason, sharks love a barracuda. And if you can fillet up a barracuda and hang it over the side of the boat, you're going to get a shark coming to you. And when they do, you're going to want to have some sort of wire leader, either that or a real heavy mono. Depends on the size of the shark. If we're over here on the east coast of Florida, when the spinner sharks and the little black tips comes through, these are mostly sharks between 3 and 5 feet long. This kind of a rig right here will work, that laser sharp 7/0 hook. We like to use a circle hook for a couple of reasons. One, it gets in the corner of the mouth and keeps all your leader out of the shark's mouth.
Correct.
So if you're using like a 100-pound mono or 200-pound mono, you can get away with it a lot of times because you're using a circle hook that will find that corner and all your leader stays out of the way. Now, and if you're catching, a lot of sharks will spin on the leader. So you want to make sure you have a long enough leader and a good swivel, a good heavy swivel that will spin, a ball bearing swivel, not a barrel swivel,
right.
A ball bearing swivel, because a barrel swivel doesn't twist under load. And when you have a shark spinning around,
and you gotta use a leader, heavy leader,
right? Because
they wrap up. They wrap up and it gets along their body.
Right, and a shark's skin is very, very rough.
Right.
They have things called dermal denticles, which means skin teeth. Literally, they can taste something just by rubbing against it and then know if it's good to eat or not. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're an amazing animal. So but if you're going to be out fishing for sharks, you don't have to go completely overboard when the sharks are under 6 feet long. But when they start getting really big, 8 or 10 feet long, you're going to want to use some cable instead of just a single strand of line. And that's like 250-pound cable. That comes on a shark rig that you can get anywhere,
right.
And a regular 7/0 hook. And you can put in as much weight as you want in front of this swivel. You can actually, have some sort of snap on here, or even just a piece of mono that you can hang a 4-ounce or whatever to keep it on the bottom if that's what you're doing.
It's long so that when he wraps up,
this is 9 feet, so
yeah,
he can make a few spins and still not get caught up in that.
You know, Dave, you're using big words well beyond my vocabulary.
Yeah, what's that?
Does that come with those Costa intellectual glasses?
Yeah, that's my glasses. I put my glasses on, makes me look smarter. But yeah, you know, and also this one here, I've got here a piece of twisted wire. Like if I'm using this number 9, it breaks at 104 pounds, which is pretty heavy. But if I want to make it a little, a little more robust, I'll twist it. And this is just twisted number 9 wire, which makes it 200-pound test.
Yeah,
and
it's
got really
2 strands.
Exactly, and
so
it's really quick to do.
Because sometimes they'll roll and they'll kink it.
Right.
And then that'll break. You go, how did he break the wire?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just that he rolled and kinked it.
Now, you can also use this Surfline coated wire. And what I'll do is I can build rigs out of it. That's like 60-pound braided wire. And I can build rigs out of it just by using a lighter. You know, I'll get I can twist this up and put a lighter on it and melt that coating on there, and this stuff will not break. I mean, I've put it on doors and whatnot, trying to break it off, thinking that can't hold. But that Surfline, that little plastic coating, and if you make about 6 or 7 wraps and then you put that lighter over it, it holds hard. And you can make as long as liter or short as liter as you want with that Surfline. And it even works for the big stuff. This is like 250. You know, you can use it, you do the same thing with it. Actually, you just have to use, here's one right here actually. You just have to use a lot more, you can use a torch. And you can,
torch?
Yeah, you can use a torch and hit that Surfline and make a loop.
You know, I think our co-host Brie is built out of Surfline.
Oh yeah,
because
Teflon.
Because she's so strong.
Oh wow, thanks, Rick. I was going to say, Dave, stop using big words over there. You're scaring the man. All right, your captain from the Bell's Southwest region is fired up and ready to put you on a shark this weekend. So, Captain Houston, let us in on the goods.
Well, like always, guys, it's a pleasure representing the Bell's Southwest region. You know, the sharks can be caught throughout the whole region, both on the inshore and offshore side. But let me give you a little insight on locating on the inshore side and southern end of the region, from Coon Key to Lossman's River. Let your eyes do the work. Whether it's a small flat skiff to a bay boat, anywhere in depth from 6 to 12 inches, tides are going to be important. It's going to be the last half of the outgoing to the first half of the incoming, either pulling the shoreline edges and even using a trolling motor, working your way out along the edges to the outer Gulf points. You will see the fish just under the surface, or you'll see them completely out of the water. Then it's a matter of what you want to present to the fish. Now, you can use a variety of artificials, but if you're trying to figure this out, the best thing would do is fresh baits. Would be probably some ladyfish, mullet, herring, all chunked, but with a little weight knocker style. Now, you can try to present the bait in sight fishing fashion, throwing the bait just ahead so the fish can work their way towards the scent. Good strong hooks, 4.0 to 8.0 trocars. They're sharp and they're strong. 60, 80-pound fluorocarbons, or, you know, a trace of wire. Now, depending upon how big the sharks are going to be, 4,000 to 6,000 series reels. But you know what? Once the tide rises and you can no longer see them, knocker rigging cut baits on the bottom in the areas you saw them on low water, or simply anchor up on the points with current, and the scent of the bait on the bottom will draw these fish to you. Now, on the inshore side, the redfish. Estero Bay, quite a few of the independent islands in the middle of the bay from Hickory Bay area north towards Rocky Bay, especially on the beginning of the incoming or the last of the outgoing, your lowest points once the tide flushes out. In the areas of schools of roaming mullet. Now, if you have higher water, which we're having this week, especially with some variable and westerly winds, you can work the eastern shoreline in the areas I mentioned, but you want to look for deadwood along the shoreline, creeks, and points, especially where current flow with this fresh water we have coming out. Now, early morning, just before dark, or we've been getting early morning rains every day till about mid-morning, you want to throw the top water walk the dog lures. Other than that, concentrate on using live pilchards, live pinfish, or cut ladyfish and mullet with just enough weight. Keep it on the bottom. That's important by keeping them baits on the bottom because the redfish are drawn to that scent. And it won't be long if you're in the right area. I have a nice picture of a redfish caught down in the southern end of the region while fishing with Captain Brian Sanders. On the offshore side, the mangrove snappers. Fishing to the north from Sanibel to Stump Pass, according to Captain Corey McGuire, you can target live bottom and wrecks. He's telling me the depths to concentrate right now is 75 to 95 feet of water. Now, you can be simple and pick up some box chum at the tackle shop, which will draw the fish up, but he's doing something a little different. He likes to chum with chunks of white bait in chum bags. Then once he gets the fish going, he simply draws back live white bait, but he tries to concentrate on using weighted and unweighted on the bait to see what works better. He also says light leaders, especially if the water is clean. Don't overchum. The fish are really educated out there right now, especially with the clean water. And I've got a nice picture of a mangrove snapper caught up in the northern end of the region. Still, the last species is going to be the permit. The permit bite has been strong really since April, since it's warmed up. But according to Captain Mike Avanon, he's telling me most wrecks and artificial reefs right now from Indian Key to Wiggins Pass. You know, he says you can get anywhere as close as 8 miles and out to 30 miles. There's a couple different ways. You can use the run and gun method or anchor up off the structure and use free line crabs, weighted and unweighted. That way you can try to figure out where these fish might be in the water column. And also, you can also make a few drifts across the structure and along the outskirts of the structure, because a lot of the structure has been torn up over the years, especially with the storms. This stuff could be out to a quarter-mile away from the noted numbers that are publicly noted. But he's telling me right now the most important bait you're going to need to catch these permits right now. If you got the crabs, you're going to get the permits. I got a picture of a nice permit caught down in the southern end of the region while fishing with Capt and Brian Sanders. Weather's looking good for this weekend. Well, actually, the weather's been good for the last couple months. Get out, get the family fishing.
All right, Ronnie, so I got a question for you. You know, when you're picking out the crabs for those permit, I know Brian Sanders likes the smaller crabs. What size do you typically like?
Well, you know, I'm not the big permit guy, but when I do go out and fish for the permits, number one, I like fishing up in the northern end because there's less sharks. Down the southern end, tend to have more sharks. But I try to grab a variety of sizes. You know, I'll grab a dozen crabs. I'm only looking to catch a couple permits. I'm not looking to stay long. So I'll try to grab the smaller ones and up to medium. I try not to get them too big. So I use a variety when I go out permit fishing. Now, I'm not a big professional, but at least I'm going to have some insight, what I've heard over the years, have a variety of sizes and crabs.
All right, well, thank you so much. Well, it's time to take a look at the Catty-Can hotspots from the Southwest region. Captain Ronnie says inshore, tarpon early in the morning fishing freshwater runoffs along the Myakka River, the Peace River, and Tippecanoe Bay and Hog Island. And then offshore, red groupers, Sanibel to Stump Pass, 95 to 105 feet of water, fishing hard bottom using cut bait.
That was the best hotspot you've ever read.
You thought that I was going to blow it on Tippecanoe.
I was going to say
I almost said
Tippekayak.
I almost said that.
I know. I wish you would have. All right, Rick, so CCA Star, can you enter Shark to Win, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes! In the Power Pole Conservation Division, all entries must have the 2020 official star measuring device in the photo, and every fish you catch this summer, you have the opportunity to win $50,000 in prizes and scholarships.
Whoa.
Also, there hasn't been a winner for the iHeartRadio tagged redfish, and you still have 6 weeks of fishing to go. So head over to ccafloridastar.com to get registered now.
Okay, let's do it.
Also, we've all noticed the gorgeous 1970 red Chevy Chevelle over there, which can be won by donating a $25 raffle ticket, which can be purchased at lovethefish.com. It's really a no-brainer. Get a car, donate to CCA.
Absolutely.
And it's red, Rick.
I know, it's my
your favorite color.
Mm.
All right, the CASA VIEJA Southeast region and Discover Crystal River Northwest regions are coming right up. But here's another shark fact to keep you entertained.
Okay.
This is what actually Dave was talking about. Sharks have a sixth sense and detect prey by tapping into those small electrical fields other animals generate using tiny organs called ampullae of Lorenzini. And this sense is strongest in hammerheads.
I'm glad you're reading
We'll be back.
Pull on.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control, Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventure. GARMIN, join the club. Florida Coast Equipment, Florida's largest Kubota dealership, serving Southeast and Southwest Florida and Florida's Space and Treasure Coasts. And CASA VIEJA Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now.
Real Legends Performance Clothing. Everything you need to be comfortable on the water all day long. Keeps you cool, dry, and protected from the sun. Durable performance technology at an unbeatable value. Shop anytime or go to reallegends.com to find a Bell store near you.
Every year, Noble Air Charter flies over 20,000 outdoorsmen and families just like you economically to over 300 Bahamian and Florida destinations. Noble Air Charter makes a substantial investment improving booking and aircraft route planning to create the most affordable and economical flight possible. And tomorrow, Noble Air's team will rise to the challenge to raise the bar yet again.
Navigating at night can be dangerous, even for the most experienced drivers. With over 400,000 pixels, Night Track makes it possible to navigate in the dark with confidence. Night Track seamlessly interfaces with all multifunction displays, 2013 or newer, and offers boaters or the outdoorsman peace of mind at an affordable price. For more information, call 251-605-9100. You've seen us demonstrate Yamaha's Helmmaster systems over the last few years, and now Yamaha has upped their game once again with Helmmaster EX. What's the difference? Well, a lot. Now Helmmaster EX offers boaters customizable integrated boat control with more ease and convenience than ever before. Available for single, yes, single, through quad applications. Helmmaster EX brings ultimate boat control and fishability to a wider variety of boaters. But you may ask, how does this work for a single outboard application? Helmmaster EX is perfect for smaller center console and larger bay boats. Its new joystick option, which is the same as used on multi-outboard systems, allows boaters who desire single outboard power to enjoy the vast majority of the long list of benefits associated with multi-outboard Helmmaster EX applications. The system works with Yamaha's new digital electric steering. Its system is similar to that built into every XTO offshore and can now be added to any current Yamaha DEC controlled outboard. There are no conventional steering pumps, hoses, or wiring, which offers a clean, more spacious bilge. There are also no valves, hoses, or control units, and no need for fluid filling, purging, or bleeding. Plus, the steering action becomes super smooth and precise. Helmmaster EX also boasts all-new joystick maneuverability with new software. Buttons for fish point and drift point are integrated in the housing. Another module for the command and control system houses autopilot and directional control. You can even plot a course, and the engines will decelerate upon arrival at your final destination. It all ties in seamlessly together. Also new, Helmmaster EX or its system components can be installed by the boat builder at the factory or by dealers when repowering at the dealership. The new Helmmaster EX from Yamaha, expanding your possibilities on the water and your ultimate boating enjoyment. To learn more about the Helmmaster EX Ultimate Boat Control System, go to YamahaOutboards.com or visit your local Yamaha dealer.
You know, single engine guys now can have Helmmaster. You guys just go to YamahaOutboards.com. But Brie,
got it all figured out. What are you reading over here?
Universal Marino.
Wow, proud of you.
Guess what? Here's you and I on the cover. You know, look at that.
Wow.
And then there's a whole layout inside about Captain Rick and some questions that he asked me, but it's really cool. You're in here with a big wahoo.
Nice.
So we're wrecking it in here, man. So
like
you got to
it.
get this month of Universal Marino.
Universal Marino.
All right.
Listen to that accent.
How about that?
You're doing pretty good. All right, the CASA VIEJA Southeast region has many species of sharks swimming around, including great white sharks sometimes. But did you know they don't have the strongest bite in the ocean? Pound for pound, a bull shark of the same size has a stronger bite, which is also in Captain Jimbo's species list. What's up, Jimbo?
Hey, Bree. Hello, Rick and Dave. Well, yep, there's no shortage of sharks here in the Southeast region, both inshore and offshore. We got blacktips, bulls, hammerheads, and sandbar sharks. Those are the most common. And there's an occasional tiger, mako, and even a few great white sightings every year. Now, the best way to get a shark bite is to fish a slab or chunk of bait on or near the bottom. And a big piece of cut bonita is one of the most popular baits. Standard tackle is 20 to 50 pound rigs with a couple feet of number 9 or number 10 wire leader. And you want to use a circle hook, 8-0, 10-0, match the hook to what size bait and what size fish you're fishing for. And also fishing for sharks on the flats, that's a lot of fun because you're sight fishing. You can get up on the flats, hang a hunk of bonita slab or barracuda slab to chum those sharks up. And as they come up the slick, you can sight fish them. You can cast swimming plugs, slabs of bait, and even flies to them. Now, inshore, this is prime time to target snook in all the inlets. Now, all the inlets throughout the region, they've been holding snook. Many of those snook are over slot size. Most of the snook, they're being caught early in the mornings or late in the afternoons into the evenings. You want to drift live baits, pinfish, pilchards, herrings, or whatever bait is abundant in that area of the region that you're in. Drift them near the bottom using a Jupiter rig, or you can try bouncing 1 to 2 ounce flare hawk jigs or jig heads with chartreuse tails along the bottom. That's been getting bites. Or you can try trolling deep diving swimming plugs along the drop-offs and the ledges. That's another great way to catch these snook. Now, the outgoing tide has been the best, unless the water is murky, which it has not been too murky with these calm seas, in which case they've been biting on both tides as long as the water is moving. So if the water is murky, it's going to be best on the outgoing tide. Now, moving offshore, we're still finding dolphin on a daily basis, and luckily the size has gotten quite a bit better. We're still finding some schools of small fish, but the bulk of these schoolies have been in the 5 to 8 pound range, and there have been some stray larger fish mixed in. And just like in the past few weeks, the fish have been offshore anywhere from 8 to 15 miles around sargassum weed, floating debris, and there have been birds on top of most of them. Now, we're catching a few of these fish on the troll using rig ballyhoo, small R&R, dolphin magnet lures with small feathers. And then once we locate a school or see the birds, we get up under them. We cast live baits to them, small pilchards, cigar minnows, or blue runners. And the blue runners have been under a lot of these patches of grass, so you can sabiki those up. Or you can use cut bonito or cut ballyhoo. Now, I got a photo here. This is the Pital and Hall family from Naples with the nice dolphin catch that we had last Saturday.
Nice.
Now, also offshore, the daytime snapper bite has been really good for vermilion and yellow eye snappers. Now, these snappers, they've been in the 1 to 4 pound range. They're being found on natural and artificial bottom in the 180 to 400 foot range. And you want to use a 3 to 4 hook chicken rig, bait it with cut squid or bonita. And what's a good idea is you can mix up the baits so you find out what's working the best. And look for marks on your fish finder. Go far enough up current so that when you get over the spot, you are on the bottom. And if you can resist the urge to reel up after you start getting a couple bites, leave it down there. You can possibly end up with 3 or 4 of those good eating snappers per drop. I got another photo here. This is a picture of Brent Melcher's 6-year-old twin daughters, Brooke and Bryn, and they caught their limited vermilion snapper in 180 feet of water off Boca Raton while their dad and their grandfather cheered them on.
Wow, that's so cool. Go, girls, go. All right, thank you so much, Jimbo. It is time for the R&R Tackle Hotspots from the Southeast region, and Jimbo says inshore, look for the snook in the inlets and around the jetties using soft jigs, soft plastics, and live baits. And then offshore, hunt for the dolphin offshore around the weed lines, floating debris, and under the birds anywhere from 18 to 15 miles offshore.
They were cute.
They were.
That's going to be me soon.
Nope.
Woo-woo.
You can't get that small again. You're already
Not
a big
me,
girl.
Mia, my daughter.
Oh.
Okay, let's swim into the Discover Crystal River Northwest region where I've caught a few sharks personally, so I know Captain Jeff Hageman is going to tell us how to target them. Let's hear it, Jeff.
Sharks, we've got them, and we got all kinds of shapes and sizes. Blacktip, sharp nose, bulls, hammerheads, makos, and tigers. When you're fishing for sharks, you want to pick your tackle depending on the size shark you're after, like Jimbo was just talking about. Wire leader is a must. The beaches and passes are a great place to fish. If you don't have a boat, the Skyway Bridge is also a great place to shark fish. And chum, and more chum. The more scent you get in the morning, the more sharks you're going to get to come to you. When chumming, make sure you have a good current flow to disperse that scent over a big area to draw them in. Also offshore, wrecks and reefs are holding a lot of spinner and blacktip and sharp nose sharks right now. And don't forget an extra long hook out so you can keep your fingers. As well, as far as bait goes, anything oily, Jimbo was just talking about this, bonito works really good, mullet, stingrays work really good in our area. So anything that's really stinky, I'll bring those fish in. And I got a photo here of a nice average size St. Pete blacktip from Big Daddy Sport Fishing Charters.
All right.
Got a bunch of them right on the beach right now.
Cool.
Staying offshore, the mangrove snapper bite seems to be all over the place. From inside the bay to 100 feet of water, any high relief structure right now, rock pile, reef, wreck, shrimp, sardines on an aqua rig, or use the smallest circle hook as possible. The water clarity is really clear right now for the size bait you're using, and just enough lead to get to the bottom. So downsize your tackle if you're not getting bit. It's a big tip for snapper fishing. They got good eyes, and the fish right now are ranging anywhere from 2 to 6 pounds, and the bigger fish have been a little bit deeper.
All right, let's go inshore.
Moving inshore.
Yeah, go ahead.
The snook bite right now throughout the lower half of my region has been really good. Starting in Tampa Bay, Captain Jason Leinberger of Ruthless Fishing Charters out of Tampa Bay reports Wheaton Island and the 4th Street Flat have been producing some nice fish on the top of the incoming tide and the beginning of the outgoing tide. Sardines, either corked or free line, have been the bait of choice. Moving down the coast and up and around the bend in St. Pete, Captain Jim Parler of Big Daddy Sport Fish Charters reports his bite in St. Pete right now has been good around the mangrove points with potholes, good current flow, and also the passes and the both incoming and outgoing tide of producing fish. Sardines and pinfish free line has been his go-to bait. Moving up the coast again, Captain Jimmy Huddleston out of Ozona reports his snook bite right now has been in the passes and beaches. Sardines, pinfish, croakers, free-lined, or fished on the bottom with a half-ounce lead on the outgoing tide has been best, but he's catching them on both. But that outgoing tide has been a little bit better. And I've got a couple photos here from Captain Jim Pollard and Captain Jimmy Huddleston.
Nice snook.
Of some nice West Coast snook. Yeah, man. Got some good ones there.
Oh, there's a big one there, bud. All right, tell us about Mario. You got a little report from him this week?
Yes, Captain Mario Costello at Tall Tales Charters out of the Plantation Inn reports a good redfish bite right now. They're still around the mangrove keys from Crystal River to the Chaz. He's working the mangrove islands that have active mullet schools around them and points and coves with any kind of overhang mangrove branches. Pinfish has been his go-to bait. He's also using mud minnows on a half-ounce jig head, and a free-line pinfish have been in 2 baits. Most of the fish right now are mid-slot size, between 25 22 inches, and a few fish oversized. And right now I'm sitting in the Keys in Key West, looking at the sunset going down, having a great day.
All right, bud. Well, good. You got a photo of John Lane here with JB Charters?
I do. I have a nice redfish.
All right, well, I'll finish your report for you, bub, being that you've already quit on me. So he says that JB Charters report out of Apalachicola, the redfish are on the flats, biting mainly on feeding live pogies, feeding on the marsh and points and ridges on the end of the incoming and the top of the outgoing tides. And this is a photo of a nice, beautiful redfish from Apalachicola. But guess what? It is time for the Alta Equipment Hotspots from the Northwest region. Thank you, Captain Hag. He says inshore, the snook along the beaches and passes use sardines and pinfish for bait, and then offshore, groupers, reds, and gags in 70-plus feet of water over the ledges and rock piles and live rock use pinfish for bait.
He's got that Keys vibe going on.
Yeah, man,
he was
he's like
so
chilling. He forgot half his stuff.
Okay, mamas. This fact is for you. You thought 9 months felt like a long time to be pregnant? Well, the spiny dogfish species of shark can take up to 2 years. Read that, 2 years before giving birth. And on that note, we're headed to the GARMIN Panhandle region. But first, let's see what new products Dave has at the CCA workbench. 2 years, Dave!
We might have a lot less children if that was the case, wouldn't we?
Absolutely. But you got a boot?
A very nice wading boot. Ultra protection, keeping those stingrays out of you.
There we go.
Very cool.
Talk about it.
So I'm going to have a question for you on that one.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Have fun out there. Ameritrail. Load, launch, relax. Real legends, exclusively at BEALLS. Okuma, inspired fishing. Discover Crystal River, Florida. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
At the pinnacle of super high output, 4-stroke outboard performance, you'll find Yamaha VMAX SHO, Yamaha's game-changing SHO technology. From exhilarating V6 models to the sleek inline 4s, there's a VMAX SHO for everything from bass to bonefish. It's an extended family of 4-strokes engineered for lightweight, inspiring performance, and rock-solid reliability. Discover VMAX SHO and elevate your expectations.
GARMIN Live Scope, I tell you right now, if you don't have it, you are behind. It's just wild. It's like a video game.
If you do not have that GARMIN Live Scope, you are definitely missing out.
Bassmaster Classic Champion!
Here in the Florida Keys, we're doing our best to keep guests and residents safe from COVID-19. Here's how you can help. Please respect each other and wear masks in public places. Please don't gather in large groups and maintain 6 feet of separation. Take 20 seconds and wash your hands with soap and water or use hand sanitizer. Enjoy the Florida Keys and stay safe. For more details, go to flakeys.com.
So we're here at the CCA workbench, and it's time for some new products. Dave, you got a lot of cool stuff tonight, man.
I do, but we're going to start off with some Starbright stuff. That's the instant hull cleaner over there. It's the gel formula. It's really easy to use. You spray it on your water line, stains, and it stays on there because it's a gel. And then you just leave it on there for a couple minutes. You don't even really have to rub it or scrub it. Come by and with a fresh water rinse, and it comes right off. Yeah. You know,
I use it all the time after the boat gets that tannic little look, you know?
Yeah, it's great stuff. And then once you've done that and you want to make it all shiny and new again, if you've had, a colored hull especially, you get that oxidation on it. Mm-hmm. The Restorer Wax, is really great. You can use a sponge to apply it or even a buffing tool.
Right.
And then, shake it up real good and then put it on there, let it sit and haze up just like a regular wax. Come back through with a clean cloth, and it'll make it beautiful and shiny again, takes all that oxidation off, and plus it adds a nice protective layer to it, so it'll be good for you.
They have 3 different models depending on the amount of oxidation, so just check it out.
That's for medium heavy.
Yeah, so read it on the back when you go to West Marine or any place, and they carry Starbright products, and figure out which one is going to work best for you.
Right. Next we'll do some really cool art from Cody Richardson, codyfish.com. Cody's Fish, I apologize, codysfish.com. Anyway, Cody is a guy from Colorado. He was a fireman. He was out there in Colorado and got caught up in the fly fishing. And he started making these really cool license plate trout and mayflies and stuff, all, because he was really into that. And he put those into fly shops and it went crazy. And now he's just about everywhere. And now he's doing all kinds of fish. And it's really cool. It's because he uses the license plates. It makes not only a cool trophy for your fish that you want, but also the place. So if you go someplace and catch a really cool redfish in Texas, like this one is, and you can get you some Texas license plates and make you a redfish. You had the dolphin over there made out of Florida.
And because they are artwork, guys, they're all numbered, right. And they come with their certificate.
Right.
Of authenticity.
And he can do everything: trout, bonefish, permit, tarpon, mahi, waterfowl. He can do just about anything.
I have a bonefish with Abaco Bahamas plate.
See, that's the cool thing about it. You can link the trophy with the place, which is really, really cool. Next, we got some hyperelastics from a band of anglers. Patrick Zabeel Creations. That's the Dead Alive Swimmer. I think that's the 4-inch. Yeah, I think that, or no, that's the 5-inch. That's the 5-inch model. And what's really cool, these are really soft baits, but they're incredibly strong. That hyperelastic stuff is, you know, you don't want to put it with your other rubber baits because they'll mix together and one will melt. But these are, you know, if you keep them by themselves, they're really good. These come with 2 hooks. You know, it's a 2-pack, one weighted, one not. The hyperelastic stuff floats really well. So when you have that unweighted, you can get that thing working on the surface, flailing around on the surface. And when you put the weight on it, because the hyperelastic floats, it gets a nice downward. It makes it look like that minnow's down there, you know, pounding in the sand, and makes them really, really good baits. Next, we have some of those dart spins. We had the big dart spins, you know, hooked up weedless, but this is the Dart Spin Pro. These little guys with the willow tail on them. You know, the soft plastic and the spinner bait combination is just really brand new and really effective. What works really good on these jig heads, these are like I said, these pro ones are the ones we have on the jig heads. Again, it comes in two to a pack, 3.5, 4.5, and 5.5 weedless. You can put a weedless swim bait hook in them if you don't like the jig heads. You can do all kinds of drop shot them, Carolina rig, whatever you want. abandofanglers.com. Last but not least, we got some Bart's Bay Armor, a protective wading boot, and these are the first boots that were made, you know, for purely protection for 30 years or so. These things are made out of a material that resists cuts and punctures. So, and it's a patent pending material, newly developed, and it's very comfortable. I love the zip on the side. You got a really long zipper. They're only a half boot, which is perfect. They're just tall enough to keep the sand and the gravel and stuff from falling in on you, but not so high that they add a whole lot of a lot of weight to them. And the rubberized armor on the bottom, you know, really keeps it. You can wear them on the boat, you can wear them on the land, or you can go wading with them. And really nice. You can wear a sock if you'd like, or even a bootie, or you can even get these in, if you have a pair of nice waders that you like, you order them a pair that's a size or 2 sizes up, and wear them with your waders.
Yeah, good job. I bet you didn't know that, Brie, that if you're going to wear them with waders, you buy them 2 sizes bigger. That's a wading fact.
I knew that, and I was waiting for that fact. That finesse over there, guys. All right, the Garmin Panhandle region might seem like it's 2,500 miles away for some of us South Floridians, but that's an easy feat for some sharks who can go that far without resting or eating. But have Captain Pat Deneen will travel. Talk shark to us, Pat.
Hey, Brie, I tell you, sharks can be caught inshore and offshore throughout the Panhandle. And although some big ones are caught inshore, if you want to consistently catch the really big ones, you want to head offshore. The reefs and the wrecks are where you're going to find them. You're going to find the bigger bulls, tigers, hammerheads, duskies, and other flavors. You want to anchor up and start chumming. A bait of choice is going to be a whole or butterfly bonita. If inshore and near shore, you can still catch some pretty big sharks. In fact, some huge sharks have been caught off our beaches and piers, including a white shark from Navarre Pier about 1.5 years ago. But the most common nearshore shark catches are going to be the bulls, the blacktips, spinners, hammerheads. For the smaller sharks, specifically the blacktips and spinners, butterfly or chunk ladyfish is a hard bait to beat. They're hard fighting fish. They jump. They're fun to catch. And it's pretty good right now throughout the Panhandle for blacktips along the beaches. But if you really want to go get them, head over to Indian Pass at Apalachicola and then fish around the Pokey bait schools west of the pass towards the shark hole. There's plenty of sharks over in that area. It's not called a shark hole for nothing. And then staying inshore, Captain Chuck Kemper in Navarre reports a really good trout bite over grass in Santa Rosa Sound. The best bite is going to be very early in the morning or late in the afternoon. It's been incredibly warm up here, so definitely early morning bite, late afternoon bite is the best. But however, Captain Chuck says they're also catching some pretty nice ones throughout the day, even midday. They're fishing spotty grass bottom, areas that are mottled sand and grass, and 3 to 5 foot of water. And if there are a lot of mullet in the area, even better. Use a walk the dog style topwater bait for the bigger trout. And don't set the hook when you get a hit. Let the fish come tight with you in the lure. If you set the hook on the bite and miss the bite, you just pulled your lure away from the fish. Leave it be and give it a couple short twitches. Chances are that trout is still sitting right there, eyeballing the lure, and he'll hit again. And there's a photo of a nice midday topwater trout caught this week with Captain Chuck in Santa Rosa Sound.
Nice. All right, let's go
offshore. Moving offshore, the amberjacks have been on the radar the past few weeks, and there's a reason for that. It's because they've been being caught both in good numbers and size. The fish are on bigger steel wrecks and the higher relief natural bottom. To the east, the Empire Mica and Air Force Towers off Apalachicola are consistent jack spots. The Ozark south of Destin is a really good jack spot. Riskinny and the cutoff rigs off of Pensacola, all are big metal wrecks that consistently produce jacks. And to catch those bigger jacks, you want to use a big live bait. And there's a photo of a huge jack caught aboard the Sea Fix out of Destin. Jason Hallmark runs that boat. He's known for catching big fish. And there's just another example. I would not want to pull on that
Me
one.
neither.
Wow. Now,
That's huge.
Pat, did they kill that jack, or did they kill that jack, or did they let him go?
I think they kept it. I saw it hanging on a scale, too.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
All right, man. Tell us about swordfish.
But finally, offshore, there's been good swordfish that are being caught both day and night. Historically, it's a nighttime fishery, but the daytime crowd is starting to change that. They're deep dropping in 1,000 to 1,300 feet of water, and they're targeting bottom features. I mean, they're just not willy-nilly picking the spot. They're looking for lumps and trenches, the trenches that extend down into the canyon. They're using a sacrificial weight like a rebar to get your bait down. You lose that sacrificial weight, and then you got a 4-pound bank sinker to keep it down. A couple of lights, one near your bait, another further up the leader. Baits of choice are squid, dolphin belly strips, butterfly Spanish, butterfly bonita, butterfly ladyfish. And there's a final photo there of Matt, Jordan, and JoJo with a nice daytime sword caught off of Pensacola last week. It's probably like a 110, 120 pound fish.
So, Pat, if you saw that big amberjack on the scale, what do you weigh, bub?
I saw it hanging, Rick. I did not see the final weight, but I know it did come to the dock. I wish I knew.
Well, find out for me and report it back
He
next
was
week.
a mile away. We still saw
I'll do it.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Good job this week. Appreciate you very much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots. He says inshore. The residential docks in Santa Rosa Sound for reds and trout use live shrimp or pilchards. And then offshore, slow troll, cigar minnows, or herring. Around the bait schools outside of the inlet for king mackerel, sacrificial weight.
Oh, man, that was
What
a
is
big
that?
fish. Sacrificial.
That was a sacrificial fish.
I don't think you're saying it right. All right, when we were...
That's what he said, sacrificial weight.
Okay. When we return, we're taking a bite out of the STARTRON Central West and ALVEY Reels Northeast regions, which are looking pretty sharky for the weekend. But remember, to keep up with us and everything fishing in Florida, make sure to head to our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube page, which is, of course, Captain Rick Murphy. We'll be right back.
All right.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by STARTRON, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. ALVEY Reels, a better way to fish. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 30 years. Diamond Fishing Products, our reputation is on the line. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing, book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Finding a shoreline is easy. Finding a sure thing is not. For over 20 years, anglers from Kitty Hawk to California and every shore in between have come to know one thing: that nothing says no to fish bites. So just stop with the fishing and get busy with the catching. Ask for Fish Bites or Fish Bites Fight Club lures or visit fishbites.com.
Come explore untouched Florida, where you'll step into holy sea cow and fish pristine waters where you'll reel in, whoa! Come discover Crystal River with exciting adventures and incredible surprises everywhere. From exhilarating river adventures to scalloping in the Gulf to delicious fish to fork cuisine, this is the place where you can relax into Just a short drive from Tampa and Orlando is the amazing Discover Crystal River, Florida. Learn more at discovercrystalriverfl.com.
much, Rick. I know you do really well.
Very well.
You know he's early to bed, early to rise, and needs his sleep in comparison to sharks who actually never sleep. Hi, Paige.
What?
Good to see you awake.
I don't think they stop swimming either, do they?
Nope. One does. I can't remember the name, but one does. Tell us more about sharks, Paige.
Real quick.
Yes?
I love following Pat Deneen because I always learn some new lingo. You know, he talks about the nipple and the spur.
Sacrificial weight.
Right, and the jack spot.
Okay. So tell
And
us
the shark hole.
tell us what's going on in the Central West region, Captain Page.
Well, you know what? We have a lot of shark fishing, and I was sitting here thinking before I came up, and it's neat how it ties into our piers and jetties and our bridges, because a lot of people in the STARTRON Central West region can catch sharks from piers and jetties and bridges, especially that Skyway fishing pier. It's not uncommon to have 5 or 6 big sharks hooked in a night along that south or north pier. Same thing goes with Venice fishing pier. The cool thing about Venice fishing pier is a lot of times they'll get guys with kayaks to paddle their baits out, or they'll use the old school balloon rig. That being said, the sharks are plentiful in the Gulf, more than in the Bay, but don't count the Bay fishing out. The Gulf fishing goes anywhere from right along the beach to 10 miles out, and it's pretty much a basic find the bait, find the schools of mackerel, bonita, hard bottom areas holding lots of life, and the sharks aren't going to be nearby. Mix in tarpon season, and then you're going to have a lot of sharks close to the beach. The species that are plentiful in our region would be the black tip, probably number 1, not followed too closely by bull shark, hammerheads, lemons, and then as you move out a little bit in that deeper column, you're going to get your tiger, and there's been reports of great whites up and down our coast. The other thing, in the bays, we catch them like out in the shipping channel from Egmont Pass all the way up into Upper Tampa Bay. Again, lots of life, mackerels and bonitas, stuff that the sharks will follow. And then around the Skyway Bridge, on the old Skyway rubble and pier, stuff that they've left out on the bottom out there, always hold some good sharks. And finally, down in the middle of Charlotte Harbor, where there's all types of structure out in the middle of that harbor, and there's been some world record hammerheads and bulls taken. As far as some pictures, I've got 2 tonight. My first one is of a shark fishing fool, Captain Gary Huffman, with a happy client with a hammerhead he got. And then my second photo is just a cool shot Bo Johnson took of a hooked up tiger going along his boat down there in Pine Island Sound.
Nice. All right. Go ahead and tell us about offshore.
Gag grouper, Captain Jason Stock and Tim Noe of the north area of my region, as well as Captain Bo Johnson to the south, all report good gag grouper bite, remains consistent with lots of quality gags, 28 inches and up, being taken on live pinfish as well as cut frozen bait. Key Rick has been finding good marking schools of bait on top of hard bottom areas and ledges. And they don't have to be big areas. I know I say that a lot, but it seems like some of your better gags and red groupers come off smaller areas of hard bottom and ledges. Captain Jason Stock told me that. And then I've got a picture tonight from Captain Tim Noe of Offshore Ventures with a stud gag grouper they got last week.
Nice. Tell us about inshore.
Redfish, you know what time of year it is. It's August, rolling into September. And you know, we usually talk a couple times, and both of us are saying these slick, calm mornings fish have been pushed up on top of the bars. They've been up there mudding, tailing all around the oysters. That is tide permitting. In our area, if the tide is covering up your oyster bars and up under your mangroves, you're going to find your redfish there. Manatee River mouth, along with the shorelines of Joe Bay and South Tampa Bay, all the way back to Terracea, has been real well. And I've gotten reports of a lot of smaller reds, which is a good thing, down in Roberts Bay and Little Sarasota Bay around Stickney Point Bridge. Matter of fact, the CCA Star Tag redfish was caught there about 2 weeks ago, and once again, the person wasn't entered. Cut ladyfish chunks work well as live pinfish or pilchards under a cork. And a little trick Captain Billy taught me was if you cut that tail off a pilchard, he'll just sit there and flicker, but he won't swim away from that shoreline of that oyster bar. If you like throwing lures, 1/4 ounce gold spoons, hard to beat, or the Saltwater Assassin Golden Brim Sea Shad on a 1/4 ounce chartreuse jig head. And I've got a redfish photo tonight of longtime client Keith Pope of Pope Golf and his sidekick Ken Skinny Powell. And they had a stellar day with me redfishing a couple weeks ago. My last species tonight, tarpon. Had to go out there and throw in one more time, Rick, especially because we've had these strong afternoon hill tides on this new moon, and the fish are still staging up in Big Pass as well as around Egmont Key. And then in the early morning, there's been reports of fish up around the oyster bars and shorelines. As long as that wind's down and those smaller fish can show, we've been catching those on top water. The fish in the pass on the outgoing tide, we've been getting on pork crabs. And my last photo tonight is of my good friend Captain Clark Wright of the Right Stuff with a happy client and a big tarpon they got on the afternoon hill tide.
All right, Captain Page, good job this week. We appreciate all the pictures and all the little tips. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at the daiquiri deck hotspots from the Central West region. He says inshore, Pompano and Permit fished the first 2 hours of the outgoing tide, drifting the south side of Sarasota's Big Pass, bouncing a 3/8 or a 1/2 ounce pink and white U-Pro Pompano jig. And then offshore amberjacks, a decent bite in 90 to 130 feet of water over the ledges and springs off of Anna Maria, south to Venice. Live pinfish or blue runners are going to be the best bet.
All right, Rick, here we go. Some species of shark can give birth to huge litters, including the blue shark, which is known to give birth to as many as 135 pups. I think Captain Tommy D in the ALVEY Reels Northeast region might feel like he has 135 kids sometimes. Don't you, Tommy?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Brie. I definitely from time to time feel like we have that many kids. But you know what, sharks, we couldn't have picked a better time to talk sharks. Here in the ALVEY Sidecast Reels Northeast region. You know what? There's a ton of different types of sharks around right now, and quite a few different ways to catch them here in the region. Now, you can target some big sharks in the pokey pods along the beach. Just simply net some of those pogies. You can either use them alive or you can cut them up right around the bait pods, and you can create your own chum slick by cutting them up as well. Now, one of the more popular ways to catch a shark, and some really big ones at that, is to get behind one of the many shrimp boats that we have working along the coast. Now, right now, there's an absolute ton of those sharks behind the shrimp boats. And when they toss their bycatch overboard, it can really be an all-out feeding frenzy. And it's really cool. You can sight fish those sharks when you see them in that bycatch. Now, you'll find all kinds of different species behind those shrimp boats. And some of my favorites, or one of my absolute favorites, is the spinner shark. They put on a crazy spinning aerial display, kind of like a tarpon, right when you hook up with them. They're a lot of fun. Now, we also have some really big bonnethead sharks inshore, and those can be a lot of fun on light tackle. I like to call them the Northeast Florida bonefish because they make some long, drag-screaming runs. Now, those bonnethead sharks, they're primarily crustacean eaters, so a half blue crab is going to work really great for those guys, or a live or dead shrimp. Sharks, you know what? They're a fantastic way to get a kid hooked up on something big, and it's really great practice on learning how to fight a big fish. And not only that, but you know what? Kids, they just get super excited to catch a shark. And speaking of that, I've got a picture. This is my good buddy Davis Berg and his son Spence with a nice black-tip shark that they caught behind one of those shrimp boats right off the coast.
Nice.
Now, staying offshore, guys, I spoke to Captain Jason Hadges from jhookfishingcharters.com. He tells me that the grouper bite has been ramping up this week. Jason said that those big gags, just like Jeff was talking about in his region, they're moving out deep here from about 135 feet on out to the ledge. Big live or cut baits, those have been his go-tos. Now, he's mostly targeting smaller, low-profile structures, but he said he is finding some grouper on some bigger ledges as well, which is a little different for this time of year. Captain Jason is going heavy on the tackle with a 100-pound main line on the spool and a 150-pound leader, and he's using a 12-aught Eagle Claw circle hook. He's got to bust out the big guns for those big grouper. And I've got another picture here. Captain Jason, this is a picture of him and his client with a huge bag grouper that they caught earlier this week. Now, moving inshore, we've had an awesome flounder bite going this summer, and it's been continuing this week with quite a few big fish being caught in the creeks throughout the region. I spoke to Captain Jim Britton from Salty Tails Charters, and he tells me he's been catching some big flounder in the creeks from Matanzas Inlet down to Palm Coast. In fact, I saw one of his fish yesterday. It was about 8.5 pounds, a monster. Mud minnows have not really been available in the tackle shops, at least in St. Augustine, so he's just using the cast net to grab some finger mullet. He's going to rig those mullet on a 1/4 ounce jig head and just drag that mullet real slow through some of those deeper creek bends on the last of the outgoing tide. Now, I've also had some great reports coming from in and around the Mayport Inlet in Jacksonville. The slack tide has been best in all the inlets, and using a fish finder rig with slightly bigger finger mullet, that's probably going to get you the slightly bigger flounder. Now, just make sure that you're using enough weight to hold the bottom. Now, the average size of the flounder has been 1 to 3 pounds, but there are some really big ones in the mix. Now, also inshore, I'm back to talking redfish this week. I've been missing my redfish. We have some great tides for them this weekend going into early next week. And starting this weekend, we have what we call a flood tide happening about midday. That means that we just have that higher than normal tide where those redfish can get access to areas in the grass that is, that usually don't get water over them. The redfish are going to be up there looking for crabs that they usually can't get to. And it's a great time to look for tailing redfish. Might be a good time to bust out the fly rod or definitely use a weedless soft plastic like the saltwater assassin paddle tail or shrimp and do some sight fishing. Now, we also have some really low tides in the late afternoon. That's going to have those redfish bunched up along the ICW and in the creek holes throughout the region. A live shrimp or one of those finger mullet on a 1/4 ounce jig head is going to work really well for those redfish. And there's also some more bull reds showing up in the usual spots like the St. Augustine and Mayport inlets, as well as in the St. Johns River right along the channel edges. Live cut mullet or live or cut mullet, ladyfish, or a half blue crab. Those are all really great baits of choice for those big reds. And I've got one last picture. This is Chris Bedford with a really pretty redfish that he caught with me on a recent charter that he did here with me in St. Augustine.
All right, thanks, Tommy. It's time for the strike zone. Hot spots from the northeast region inshore. Flounder in the creeks throughout the region. Fish the last of the outgoing tide in the deeper creek bends with the finger mullet on a 1/4 ounce bass session jig head. And then offshore, a mixed bag of groupers and mutton snappers in 135 feet and deeper ledges and wrecks throughout the entire region.
All right, the Fish Bites East region is coming up next on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. And speaking of bites, did you know sharks grow up to 50,000 teeth in a lifetime? Chomp on that, and we'll be back. Right?
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. The Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. The IGFA. Fish for the world. Sportsman's Adventures. Fishing for adventure. And BEALLS. Everything you need to live life local.
When you live on an island, surrounded by warm, clear water, and a million ways to enjoy it, it's amazing you'll ever have time to come up for air. Key West. Close to perfect. Far from normal.
Get a great deal on the Kubota L-Series tractor. Built upon a solid foundation of cast iron and steel, the Kubota L-Series tractor is the #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. for over 10 years. With a powerful Kubota diesel engine and dependable gear or HST transmission, it's ready to take on your toughest projects. Right now, get the L2501 HST for payments as low as $149 a month.
Florida Coast Equipment, Florida's highest volume Kubota dealer.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with STARTRON. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with STARTRON.
Have you ever felt your heart pounding while feeling the power of a tarpon in the Florida Keys? Or experienced the changing colors of a mahi as you bring it on board? Whether it's in the Bahamas, the Florida Keys, Guatemala, or the Florida Everglades, Murphy's Law Sports Fishing has the ability to guide you to the fish of a lifetime. To book your trip today, call 305-246-0673 or go to murphyslawsportfishing.com.
Today's Power Pole tip is about the warranty and the service. Now, Power Pole is owned and operated, family owned and operated, and guys, I want to tell you, with that in mind, that's one of the reasons why they have the best customer service and warranty program of any company in the industry. They want to make sure that your Power Pole experience every single day is flawless. The thing that I like is that you can troubleshoot your problems through the Sea Monster app. But if you're not able to figure out the problem yourself, they want you to call. So we have a 1-800 number that you can call, and they'll answer that phone call and try to troubleshoot the problem while you're out on the water. If you're not able to, then they'll recommend you to go to a local dealer. They will get in contact with the dealer to make sure that you have no problems whatsoever. The reason why Power Pole is such a great product is certainly they stand behind their product. They want you to have a great experience, and that's one of the single most important parts of their business model. If you have any questions about Power Pole, you can go to powerpole.com, and that's today's Power Pole tip of the week.
All right, if blacktop and spinner shark sounds like a fun fight for you in the Fish Bites East region, head to wherever the minnow schools are. Right, Mike?
That's true, Brie. There's no lack of sharks in my region. Between the red minnow schools and that first little push of the fall mullet run, the shark action on the beach from Hope Sound all the way north to the Vero Cove has just been spectacular. Anytime you get a significant volume of food pushed up against that shoreline, you can bet the sharks are going to make an appearance. Most of the sharks we're seeing there right now are blacktip and spinner sharks, although there's still a lot of bull sharks and hammerheads out on the shallow wrecks and around the inlets. And in Palm Beach County, you can't stop a boat in less than 150 feet of water without a shark showing up. When the sharks push that bait up against the shore, they get super aggressive. So you can throw a topwater plug, a live or dead mullet, a threadfin, all those will get the bite. Some of the better places are Hope Sound Wildlife Refuge, Bathtub Beach, Walton Rock, South Beach in Fort Pierce, and the Vero Cove. All those areas that sharks like to hang out on a regular basis. For the hammerheads and bulls, a live or a dead jack or a stingray or a chunk of bonita will draw them in. And I'm a big proponent of circle hooks. I like to fish them with a short trace and number 8 wire and then 150-pound monofilament above that. Average shark in my region is going to be anywhere from 80 to 200 pounds. The other thing, we had a really nice little push of dolphin this week in my region. Most of the fish that showed up were under 15 pounds, but given the horrible summer that this has been for dolphin, I'll take it. What was interesting was that the bite was shallow early in the week, but now that ocean is like 92 degrees with a hard south tide from Fort Pierce all the way to Hope Sound. So you want to avoid that funky green colored water when you're dolphin fishing. Now the good bite is on. Today was off Fort Pierce at 170 to 190 feet of water. And then at the same time, there's some larger schools off Palm Beach, about 25 miles out. The key to dolphin fishing in August is to cover a lot of water. And you do that by pulling lures or a feather and strip combination. You can also do that run and gun thing, stopping on something that looks good, pitching out a live bait. That'll work pretty well. If you're going to run way out, look for the small flocks of terns, either diving or dipping or even just flying around. A lot of the good fish are coming off those little terns. The average dolphin right now is 5 to 15 pounds, but fish up to 20 pounds this week. I have a photo that's Michael Long with a nice dolphin. He caught 1,500 feet of water. He caught that off Jensen Beach. That fish ate a trolled ballyhoo.
All right, let's go inshore, Hollywood.
Well, we're starting to see the first of the fall redfish schools gathering on the inshore flats of the Indian River from Fort Pierce all the way to Vero Beach. The reds school up in these spawning aggregations from August to October, and we're seeing tailing fish during the cooler part of the day, right at dawn, on the moorings flat, the old inlet flat, the North Bridge flat, and on the J.C. Park flat. Fishing will only get better as we move forward, but in my region, this is when you find those big schools of fish that hump the water as they push along. We'll have that for the next couple of months. Start your day throwing a saltwater assassin, new penny or clear gold 5-inch shad. I like to put a 1/8 ounce jig head on it. You can also throw a topwater plug or a gold spoon. They're really focused on mullet right now. You can also post up and put out a chunk of ladyfish or pilchard or mullet and catch a few fish. Look for the fish tailing at dawn and then moving to the sand holes on the flats. A lot of times you'll find black-tipped sharks dogging the schools, so if you see sharks in the area, you know you're in the right spot. Average redfish is 5 to 10 pounds. I have a photo that's Caden Kappelman and Darlene and Brooke Graziano with a nice red that 5-year-old Caden caught. He caught that on a chunk of mullet. The other thing, a lot of the tarpon we're seeing right now are smaller resident fish that are locked in on those minuscules that have either pushed up on the beach or into the Indian and St. Lucie rivers. There's also some fish around the inlets and in the Loxahatchee River and in the St. Lucie River. That means places like Big and Little Mud Creeks, the hospital dock in the St. Lucie River, and the Boy Scout camp in the Loxahatchee River. We'll all see good fish right now, usually right at dawn. The inshore bite lasts from like dawn to about 9 a.m. Get out there with a Houdini-colored 4-inch sea shad or a live mullet, and you'll get the bite. On the beach, find the minnows, you can find the tarpon. That bite's going all day, and anything white or shad colored is good, along with a live or dead mullet or ladyfish is going to work well. Around the inlets, float a live mullet out on the evening and outgoing tide. That's when the boat traffic is calmed and the fish are a lot more active. Average tarpon region is going to be 20 to 50 pounds, but don't be surprised if you hook one over 100 pounds.
Let's go bass fishing. What you got?
Well, water levels are up on Lake Okeechobee, and there's still some beautiful pastures of eelgrass from the pass at Buckhead Ridge all the way to the inside grass lines in Clewiston. The downside of that is that the water temperatures are in the high 80s, early 90s, so the school fish bite is only lasting from dawn through the first hour of light. Start your day throwing a white spinnerbait or a crystal shad or hammer-tine colored bass assassin dye-dapper. Fire it way up in the Kissimmee grass or eelgrass and then work it through the potholes. Then look for diving birds and listen for busting fish. If you hear that or see that, you'll know you're in the right area. One big key, if it rains the night before, it'll cool the water down a bit, and that bite will last a little later into the morning. I was talking to Captain Nate Schellen of OkeechobeeBassFishing.com. He was saying once a school bite dies, you want to flip the isolated cattails with a June bug or green pumpkin colored tap out or trick worm. Rig it Senko style. Just be patient. You'll get that big fish bite. The average bass on Lake Okeechobee right now is 1 to 3 pounds, but fish to 7 pounds in the mix.
All right, Hollywood, you did good, man. I appreciate it very much. That's a good representation of the Fish Bites East region, but now it's time for the T&H Marine Hotspots inshore. Tarpon, snook, jacks, sharks, and Spanish mackerel in the minnow schools off of Home Sound Wildlife Refuge. An LY colored SA fork-tailed shad is going to work for them. And then offshore, kingfish on the 6 Mile Reef, slow troll, eye blue runners, thread fins, mullets on a number 4 stinger rig. Brie?
Okay, Rick. Well, the shark reports are in, but stay hooked with us for a little bit longer to see what we're sinking our teeth into next week. We'll be right back.
All right.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO offshore.
Why is CASA VIEJA Lodge on everyone's bucket list?
Left teaser! Left flat as well, 2 fish! They're everywhere! Right flat teaser as well! Left flat, right flat teaser!
Come to CASA VIEJA Lodge and check it off your list.
right, guys, tune in because next week we're talking my favorite inshore species, which is snook. Hey, excited.
What kind of facts are you going to bring us on snooks?
You have to wait and tune in and find out because they're going to be so good. They're going to be snookalicious.
We need to get somebody to sponsor all
I think I'm going to be snook fishing next Wednesday.
What? Can I come? Thanks for tuning in, guys. Go catch a shark.
Tonight, Brie.
Shark
Good
Week.
job tonight,
Ooh,
Dave.
haha.
Thank you very much.